This video is brought to you by Straight Goods News, Canada's alternative online news source. Visit straightgoods.ca.
Committee had asked for some extraordinary powers so that they could give more teeth to this investigation, and the Conservatives voted it down. So there's some things the RCMP can do, I suppose, at Elections Canada.
What do you think of the Tories' attempt to try to change the channel by saying, well, the Liberals have robocalls, paid $1 million for robocalls, and some of these nuisance calls could have been just Liberal?
No, I know. No, there's a real effort to muddy the waters lately, and it's getting a little frustrating because there's a big difference between mischief and nuisance calls during the election campaign and the criminal fraud involved with identifying yourself as a government official and lying to somebody about their polling station moving. I wish people wouldn't cloud the issue, and certainly that seems to be the strategy for the Harper Conservatives.
But haven't you contributed to that? I mean, the parties themselves, by saying all these writings, because a lot of these were just nuisance calls. You've thrown out 61 writings instead of focus on actual probability of criminality.
But to be fair, we have separate categories. I've noticed the other opposition parties getting things blurred, but we have always said in these 9 or 11, we've got allegations of criminal misrepresentation and fraud. In these further 27, we have mischief and nuisance calls that could be, unfair, et cetera, et cetera. I know the public must be having a hard time because this is growing exponentially. I mean, this woman that came to me from Calgary, they were laughing in there saying, oh, well, Martin must be insane. Why would the Conservatives try and suppress the vote in Calgary where they get like 75% of the vote? I'm telling you why, because they're trying to starve their political opponents for resources. Every vote that they divert from the polling station for our party is $2 less per year over 4 years. It's not a bad investment. For $117, you can phone 5,000 people with these robocalls.
Which even company?
The RAC9. Oh. RAC9's bill was $117 for 5,000 contacts. If even 10% of those, if they interfere with the vote of 10% of those, that would be, 500 people times $2 per vote per year, $4,000 or $5,000 you've denied to your political adversaries. The net is tightening, and people are getting tense, and you can tell by the Conservatives' reaction. I think they're starting to feel the heat.
In terms of the phony election Canada representations, how many, you were saying you were taking sworn affidavits, is that on that issue?
Yes, on an ongoing basis. Yes, It is on that issue. That's frankly the only issue that interests me at this point in time, and because that's where they've really crossed the line and undermined the integrity of our electoral system, is when they falsely represented themselves as a government official and lied to them about where their voting station was. That's just so fundamentally wrong that it has to be condemned, that it has to be dealt with.
And how many ridings are you up to?
I don't even know. It's growing by the hour. I think this made 45, but there's been a couple come in since then.
Yeah. Okay.
The in and out allegations out of Quebec, have you been asked about that?
Yeah, no.
The Prime Minister, in an answer, says that the candidate in question said that he did know where the money was and it was used by the telephone companies.
Yeah.
The article
I know.
and the allegation.
There's conflicting information coming out about whether that money was actually spent for legitimate purposes in that riding, or whether it was, funneled through and laundered through that riding association. That, and again, would be a worrisome pattern, because that's the very thing that they were sanctioned for just recently, is laundering their money through riding associations and used for a different purpose. We're really, people think that we're maybe overstepping by calling for a public inquiry, but the public's confidence in their electoral system is being seriously compromised, and they may be doing permanent damage. You've got an already cynical and jaded electorate is looking at this and just shaking their head. And that's where the value of a full public inquiry would be, is to try and restore the confidence of the Canadian electorate that this isn't a goddamn Zimbabwe.